The last arena, the crowd screamed as the giant beast fell to the ground. Its body shook the arena floor, dust rising in clouds. Blood spilled from its open mouth. In the center of the arena, General Zirea stood tall, her armor shining under the twin suns. She didn't smile. She never did. A voice echoed across the arena. Victor. General Zirea of the Crimson Moons. 147 victories. Undefeated. The crowd cheered louder, stomping and howling. They came from different worlds. Tall aliens with silver skin, short creatures with glowing eyes, and many more. All of them came to see one thing, her, the champion, the legend, the perfect warrior. Zirea walked out of the arena without looking back. To her, it was just another fight, another life taken, another empty victory. Deep inside the mountain-sized arena, in a dark chamber made of black stone, the Council of Elders watched the screen. "She's too powerful," said one. His voice was like wind over broken glass. "And too bored," said another. "She needs a real challenge." A third leaned forward. His eyes glowed orange. "What about the humans?" The others looked at him. "They're not strong enough," one said. "They're unpredictable," said another. "They don't follow the rules." "Exactly," said the third. "Maybe it's time we test her with something different." Meanwhile, on Earth, Eli Voss sat in his small room. The war was long over, but he still heard the sounds in his dreams. Screams, gunfire, the silence after an explosion. He was just a man now. No army, no medals, just a name. His comm device beeped. A soft green light blinked. He hadn't used it in years. Incoming message, Origin. Unknown message. You've been selected for the last arena. Do you accept? Eli frowned. A joke? Spam? He pressed ignore. The device blinked again. Message repeated. You've been selected before. He could reply. Everything around him shimmered, like the air was made of water. His bed, his floor, even the walls faded away. A strange pressure pulled him down, like falling into a dream. Then, darkness. When he opened his eyes, he was in a small metal room. Cold walls, no windows. A blue light hummed from the ceiling. There was a door locked, and a voice. You are in the holding cell of the last arena, it said. Do not be afraid, prepare to fight. Eli stood up slowly. Fight who? No answer. Outside the room, he heard roars. Deep, thunderous roars. Something hit the wall far away. The ground shook. Screams followed. Eli walked to the door and touched it. It hissed open. He stepped into a wide hallway with glowing walls. Other doors lined the sides. A few were open. He saw others. Alien. Warriors, some huge and armored, others thin and sharp-eyed. Most didn't look at him. One did. It laughed. You? Human? You won't last a minute. Eli ignored him. He walked forward, heart pounding. He didn't understand what was happening, but one thing was clear. This wasn't a game. He reached an open balcony. Below it was the arena, the same place he had just seen on the news days ago, the place where monsters fought, where legends died. He saw her, Zirea. She stood in the center alone. Her eyes scanned the crowd, calm and cold. She didn't look like a killer, but Eli knew better. He had seen eyes like that before. On the battlefield. Empty. Tired. A voice boomed across the arena. The final test is coming. The last warrior will be chosen. One fight to end all fights. The crowd cheered. Lights flashed. Banners rose in the sky. Eli backed away. They want me to fight her? He felt a chill run down his spine. Suddenly he heard a whisper. Not a voice, a thought. In his mind. You're the only one left. He turned around. No one was there. No alien could defeat her, the voice said again. But maybe a human can. Eli clenched his fists. He didn't know why he was here, or who brought him. But he knew one thing. He wasn't going to die easy. And maybe, just maybe, he could do something no one else had done. Human arrival. The metal hallway stretched out, in silence glowing with soft, eerie light. Eli walked slowly, scanning every corner, every shadow. He had fought in wars before, human wars. But this place, this was different. There were no guards, no signs, no windows. Just silence and whispers from behind thick metal doors. Whispers, in alien tongues. Some sounded like growls, some like static, others like cries in water. Ahead, the hallway curved into a large open space, a kind of training ground. Dozens of creatures trained there. Some punched through stone walls. Others used weapons that moved like liquid, bending around their arms. There were beings made of mist, fire, bone, and none of them looked human. A loud voice spoke behind him. "First time here?" Eli turned. A small creature with 6 legs and eyes on stalks stood there. It looked fragile, but wore a badge on its chest. Translator module. "What is this place?" Eli asked. The creature didn't answer at first. It simply walked beside him and said, "This is the last arena, not just a battleground, a prison, a test, a legend. If you win here, your name is remembered forever. If you lose, you vanish." Eli raised an eyebrow. "And you?" "I clean up the ones who vanish," it said, smiling with sharp little teeth. They walked past a window showing the arena from above. Workers repaired the floor, still stained with blood. Drones floated, scanning the area for weapons left behind. "Why me?" Eli asked. "Why would they bring a human here?" "Because they're desperate," the creature said. "General Zirea cannot be defeated. She's not just a warrior. She's a weapon made by the ancients. They created her to protect the empire. But now, even they fear her. Why? Because she doesn't want to win anymore. She's looking for something, but no one knows what." Eli didn't reply. He stared out at the arena. "How long do I have before the fight?" "Not long," the creature said. "But the question isn't how long you have. The question is, what will you do with it?" In a dark chamber below the arena, Zirea sat alone. Her armor lay beside her. Her hands were bare. She stared at the scars on her palms, marks from weapons long gone. In her mind, voices of past battles echoed, screams, roars, silence. The council had warned her, "If you disobey again, you will be shut down." But she didn't care. She had faced every warrior in the known galaxy. She had crushed beasts that could swallow buildings. She had fought machines that lived inside black holes. And she had won. Every time. But something inside her was breaking. She didn't want to fight anymore. She wanted to feel something. Anything. Then she saw him. On a screen in front of her. The human. Eli. She studied his face. Calm, but confused. His movements were slow, careful, like a man used to surviving, not winning. A whisper came to her mind. A memory? A voice? He's not like the others. In a small training chamber, Eli tried lifting a sword made of crystal. It was heavier than it looked. He dropped it. "You won't beat her with that," said the 6-legged creature from before. "Zirea doesn't need weapons. She is one." "Thanks for the vote of confidence," Eli said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "You're not here to fight her," it said. Eli looked up. "What do you mean?" "You're here to break her." Eli paused. "Break her?" The creature leaned closer. "She's searching, testing, not just for strength, but for something else. Something deeper." "Like what?" "Truth, weakness, emotion, maybe even freedom." Eli sat down, breathing hard. This was insane. He didn't want to be part of some alien mind game. But deep inside, something told him this wasn't a mistake. Maybe he had been chosen, not because he was strong, but because he was human. Humans didn't always follow logic. They lied, they tricked, they survived in impossible ways, and sometimes they changed everything. Suddenly the wall lit up. Red light. Alarm. Combat protocol initiated. Challenger Eli Voss, report to the arena. The creature stopped, talking. It's time. The arena was full. Thousands of alien faces stared down from the stands. Cameras floated in the air. Drums pounded like thunder. Eli stepped into the center. He wore no armor, just a simple suit with light shielding, a knife strapped to his leg. No helmet. Across the field, a gate opened. Sireya walked out slowly. Her eyes met his. No hate, no fear, just curiosity. The announcer spoke. The final test. Sireya versus the last challenger. Silence. Sireya raised her hand and did something strange. She bowed. Eli blinked. Then she whispered, just loud enough for him to hear. Surprise me, human. The gate behind Eli slammed shut. The battle had begun. Training the weakest link, the door slammed behind him. The sound echoed like thunder. Eli stood still in the middle of the arena as Sireya walked away. Not to attack, not to speak, just to observe. The crowd didn't cheer. They were confused. No one expected this. The fight hadn't started. Not really. As the lights faded and the audience dispersed, Eli was taken back to his cell, though now it was larger, more advanced. Screens lit up with strange symbols. A long bench held weapons. Blades, plasma rods, shock whips. None of them felt right to him. You survived the first appearance, the six-legged creature said from the doorway. Impressive. Eli sat down and looked at the ceiling. She didn't even try to kill me. Yet, the creature replied. She's studying you. Great, Eli muttered. Like a science experiment. More like a puzzle. Over the next few days, Eli was put through something worse than any military training he'd ever experienced. Not because of physical pain, though there was plenty, but because of how little made sense. The arena wasn't just a battleground. It was alive. Walls shifted. Gravity changed direction randomly. Time ran faster in some chambers, slower in others. One room whispered your secrets aloud. Another made you relive your worst memory. They weren't training him to fight. They were testing how long a human mind could survive chaos. But Eli didn't break. He adapted. When one floor became lava, he ran along the walls. When a weapon dissolved, in his hand he built a new one from scrap. When creatures twice his size mocked him, he learned how to move between their legs, aim for weak points, steal their food, confuse their senses. The other warriors watched in silence. Some laughed at first, then they didn't. Sireya watched him too, always from the shadows. She stood behind glass walls, silent, motionless like a statue carved by war itself. But in her mind, something strange was happening. Memories. Not of battles, but of dreams, of choices never made, of a time before the arena. Was it real? Or a glitch in her mind? For the first time in decades, she felt something. Not fear, not anger, doubt. He's not strong, said one of the council members, staring at a screen showing Eli's training. No, said another. He's dangerous. How? He's only human. Because he thinks differently. He learns by failing. And failure is something Sireya has never truly faced. Are you saying he can win? I'm saying he might make her lose on purpose. The chamber fell silent. That cannot be allowed. Back in his cell, Eli stared at a small silver cube. It had appeared without warning. No markings, no explanation. He touched it. Instantly, a hologram bloomed in the air. A young alien girl stood in a field of purple grass. She laughed, ran, turned toward the camera, and for a brief second, her face shimmered. Sireya. Not a warrior, not a killer, just a child. Eli stepped back, shocked. The image faded. Then the door opened. Siraya stood there, alone. No armor, no weapons. "You saw it," she said softly. "Yeah," Eli replied. "I saw you. Before all this." She stepped closer. Her eyes glowed dimly, but they didn't look cold anymore. "They erased it," she said. "My memories, but not all of them. Some come back when I see you." "Why me?" he asked. "Because you don't fight like them. You remind me of what I was, before they made me a monster." Eli's jaw tightened. "And what happens now?" "They want me to kill you. To prove I'm still theirs, unbeaten, but you don't want to." "No," she said. "I want to end this. So let's end it together." "If we try that," Siraya said, "they'll erase us both. Then we make sure they can't." The next morning, Eli changed everything. He refused. The arena weapons. Instead, he carried strange tools, mirrors, decoys, smoke capsules, things that confused machines more than hurt them. His new strategy wasn't to win. It was to make the council question the fight itself, to make Siraya remember what she had forgotten. During training rounds, he taunted her, made jokes, refused to attack. When she charged, he dodged and smiled. When she paused, he whispered stories about Earth, about trees, oceans, rain, things she had never seen or had long forgotten. The audience didn't know what to make of it. Some cheered, some booed, some watched in silence. But one thing was certain. This was no longer just a fight. It was a rebellion. Deep below the arena, in a dark room, the council gathered once more. "We must intervene," said the eldest. "This connection is too dangerous." "Prepare a shadow unit," said another. "If Eli Voss survives one more round, we erase them both." Meanwhile, Eli stood at the edge of the arena wall, staring at the stars. Above, Siraya joined him. "Tomorrow is the final match," she said. "Yeah," he replied. "You ready?" "I'm not here to win," he said. "I'm here to break the rules." She looked at him. For the first time, she smiled. "Good," she whispered, "because so am I." The conversation, the arena slept under red moons. For once, there was no noise, no blood, no battle cries, only silence and the distant hum of the force, fields that kept the stars at bay. Eli sat alone in the training yard staring at the strange sky. It didn't feel like night. The air was always buzzing here, like something alive was breathing behind the metal. He heard footsteps. Soft, measured. "Siraya, I didn't think you'd come," Eli said without turning. "You wanted a conversation," she said. "Not a fight." He looked up at her. No armor. No weapons. Her eyes were calm but unreadable, like a lake with something massive sleeping beneath. "Tell me," he said. "Why did they build you?" Siraya sat across from him, cross-legged like a student ready to listen. "They didn't build me to protect anyone," she said slowly. "They built me to win. Nothing else." Eli nodded. "And you always did." "Yes," she said. "But not because I wanted to. I was made to win. It's different. I was told who to fight, where, how, why. But no one ever asked me what I wanted." "And now?" he asked. "Now I see something I wasn't designed to understand. Choice." She looked directly into his eyes. "You made me remember who I was before the fights, not because of your strength, not even because of your words, but because you didn't play their game." "I don't like games with rigged rules," Eli said with a shrug, "especially when they end in someone dying just to entertain a crowd." Siraya stood up and walked to a control panel hidden in the arena wall. Her fingers moved across glowing symbols. A hologram appeared, hundreds of names, warriors, challengers, species Eli had never heard of. "This is the kill record," she said. "Mine. I remember every one of them. They don't just vanish, and they stay here in my mind, every scream, every cry for help." Eli looked at the list. It was longer than he imagined. Each name was followed by a short label. Status, erased. They deleted more than bodies, Siraya said. They wiped the memory of these people from their home planets. Erase their victories, their stories, like they never existed. But you remember, Eli said. Yes, and that's what scares them. Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered. Red alarms flashed for a second, then stopped. Eli stood up, alert. What was that? They're listening, Sireya said. They always are. In the deepest level of the council's tower, something ancient stirred. Not a machine, not a warrior. Something older than Sireya. The council called it Project Voidglass, a being built in secret, forged from dead stars and failed experiments. Not alive, not dead. It existed to erase those who could not be controlled. Deploy Voidglass, Gwag, said the elder. But it's unstable, warned another. It could destroy the entire arena. Then let it, the elder hissed. We'll rebuild. What matters is control. We cannot let a human infect our perfect weapon. The next day, Eli wasn't taken to the arena. He was led to a chamber beneath it, circular, dark, and cold. In the center stood a table. Not a fighting ring, not a cell. A table set for two. Sireya was already there, standing still. They want us to talk again? He asked. No, she said quietly. They want to break us apart. She placed something on the table. A small shard of metal, glowing with unstable light. This is a memory core, she said. One of mine, I found it last night. It's from before. Eli picked it up. The moment he touched it, images rushed into his mind. Sireya, younger, not a warrior, a scientist, working on weapons of peace, tools that disarmed instead of killed, then pain, betrayal, the council's guards dragging her away, her mind stripped, rebuilt, rewired, turned into the perfect killer. They didn't create me from nothing, she said. They turned me into something else. Eli placed the core down gently. Then let's turn you back. Suddenly, the chamber trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. A voice, cold, digital, full of echoes, spoke through the air. Target located. Infection detected. Begin erasure. The far wall exploded inwards, and Voidglass stepped through, a towering figure of shifting black metal and flickering stars. Its face had no eyes, just a crackling void. Its arms bent in ways that made no sense. Its voice came from everywhere. One must die. One must remain. Choose. Sireya took a step forward, fists clenched. No, Eli said. We choose nothing. We fight together. Then you'll die together, the voice hissed. They ran, not because they were afraid, but because they weren't ready. Not yet, as they fled through the twisting halls of the arena's underbelly, alarms screamed, doors locked behind them. Systems tried to trap them. But Eli had learned. He used every trick from his days on Earth, magnets, mirrors, false signals, heat decoys. He confused the machines, delayed the enemy. Sireya tore through the walls with her bare hands, creating paths where none existed. Side by side, they escaped deeper into the arena's forgotten tunnels, places even the council had stopped monitoring. At last they reached a forgotten hangar, and there, half buried in dust, was a ship. Not alien, not imperial. Human-made. Eli touched the hull. How did this get here? Sireya looked at the symbol, an old Earth logo, faded but familiar. I think, she said, we're not the first human to end up here. Far above, the council screamed into their screens. They're escaping. Send all units. Shut the arena down. But deep inside the shadows of the system, something else awoke. Not Voidglass. Not a weapon. A signal. One Eli had accidentally triggered when he touched the human. Ship. A call for help. Broadcasted across the stars. To Earth. To anyone listening. And someone was. The battle begins. The arena roared louder than it ever had. The stands were full. Creatures from 1,000 systems packed shoulder to shoulder. Some glowing, some pulsing. Others wearing translator hoods just to understand what was about to happen. In the sky above, Ships hovered in silence. Observation decks, council crafts, floating media stations. The fight between Eli Voss and General Zirea had drawn the entire galactic network into one place, and it was being broadcast to every world that had ever sent a warrior into the last arena. Deep beneath the surface, Eli stood in a narrow chamber, with walls that pulsed like veins. He was alone. Again, no armor, no heavy weapons, just his light suit, a modified knife on his hip, and a strange belt full of homemade tools, smoke triggers, sonic flares, illusion projectors. Nothing lethal, not directly. He adjusted a thin earpiece. Static. Then a whisper. "Can you hear me?" Zirea's voice. "Yeah," Eli said. "Barely. They cut most of the channels, but I rerouted through the emergency system. You're good at this for someone who was designed to kill. I was something else before that, remember?" A pause. "Eli." Her voice was lower now. "We can't fake this. Not all the way. They'll know if we don't hit hard. They need a show." "I can take a hit," Eli said, smirking. "Just don't kill me with it. No promises." The door slid open. Blinding light. The announcer's voice echoed across every speaker in the galaxy. "Today, the undefeated meets the unbroken. General Zirea versus the human anomaly. Eli Voss." Eli stepped into the arena and felt the weight of every eye. They chanted her name. Zirea, Zirea, Zirea. But somewhere in the chaos he heard something else. Small, scattered. "Eli, Eli, Eli." A whisper, a beginning. Across the stars, humans and others were watching, and something in them stirred. Zirea entered through the opposite gate. No speech, no salute. She walked like thunder in slow motion, her armor darker than before, streaked with red lines glowing faintly. Her eyes met Eli's. Unreadable, unblinking. Eli took position 10 paces away. He exhaled. "Let's make this look real," he said. She charged. The first blow sent him flying. He hit the ground hard, rolling twice before stopping. His ribs screamed, gasps from the crowd. Blood trickled from his lip. He smiled. Perfect. He triggered the smoke flare on his belt. A cloud of mist rose, glowing with light particles. His body blurred. 2, 3 copies of him flickered into view. Zirea didn't hesitate. She struck again, this time through the illusion, slamming a metal column instead. Sparks rained down. Eli darted behind her, dropped a sonic mine, and rolled away. The explosion didn't harm her, but it disoriented the cameras, giving them 5 seconds of scrambled footage. They used those seconds to talk. "Section C7 is weak," Eli whispered. "I scanned the floor layout." "Good," Zirea said. "We use it to collapse the wall, create a breach. You think we'll make it out?" "No, but others might." Back in the council chamber, warnings flashed across their screens. Camera delay detected. System reroute active. Floor sensors misaligned. Shut it down. One elder shouted. "They're staging a breach." "It's too late," another whispered. "The feed is live. If we stop now, the galaxy will know. Then we let it continue. And if it goes too far, we drop void glass into the arena." Eli and Zirea fought like enemies. They slammed, kicked, slashed, and whispered between every blow. They moved closer to Section C7, where the arena wall was weakest, reinforced with aging tech. Eli flipped a coin-sized device and stuck it to the ground. "Detonator set," he whispered. Zirea nodded, then shouted loud enough for the cameras. "Is this all you've got, human?" Eli grinned. "Not even close." She charged again. He ducked, slid under her leg, and slammed his fist into the device. The floor cracked. A ripple of energy ran through the ground like lightning. Section C7 shattered, not just cracked, collapsed. Metal, stone, and fire exploded outward. The wall blew open. Behind it, the hidden chambers of the arena, rows of memory cores, prisoner archives, names, faces, proof, all the things the Council had erased. And now, it was exposed to the galaxy. The crowd went silent. News stations zoomed in. On the screens, millions saw the truth. The last arena wasn't just a battleground, it was a graveyard. The Council panicked. "Release Void Glass," screamed the Elder. In the shadows above the arena, the containment field broke. Void Glass descended. Its body unfolded like a spider made of stars, dripping, blacklight, its voice a chorus of pain. Erasure protocol initiated. Zirea, Eli Voss, targets confirmed. Eli looked up, eyes wide. "You said it was unstable," he shouted. "It is," Zirea replied. "But so are we." They stood together, weapons in hand. The crowd screamed. Ships above moved in confusion, and far across the galaxy, something ancient stirred in response to the broadcast. Human warships, rogue AI fleets, forgotten allies, all watching, some moving. The arena was no longer a stage. It was the spark of a revolution. Eli turned to Zirea. "Ready to burn it all down?" She smirked, blood on her lip. "After you, human." And then they ran, not to escape, but to fight. Mind over muscle. The arena was no longer an arena. It had become a war zone. Fire, smoke, sparks, and gravity cracks splitting the floor into uneven layers. Half the outer wall was gone, revealing broken chambers the galaxy was never meant to see. The crowd had scattered. Some fled. Others hovered above in warships, afraid to blink. But in the center stood Eli Voss, bloodied and breathing hard. Beside Zirea, her armor cracked, one shoulder burning, and above them descended Void Glass. Its body was impossible to describe, a shifting form of broken geometry, all sharp edges and pulsing stars trapped inside obsidian plates. It didn't walk. It bent space and floated, every movement leaving behind a ripple in reality. Its voice was every scream that had ever gone unheard. Begin erasure. A pulse burst from its body. Waves of black energy spreading in every direction. Metal rusted instantly. Glass melted. Eli fell to his knees as the air thickened like glue. Zirea staggered forward, pushing against the pressure. "It's trying to rewrite physics," she shouted. "This thing's not just a weapon, like it's a concept." "Fantastic," Eli coughed. "Any chance it doesn't have good aim?" "No." Up in the council tower, panic turned to rage. "Void Glass has breached core laws," one elder said. "It's not following orders." "Then destroy it," another barked. "We can't. It's beyond our reach now." The room went silent. We created a god, and now it's watching us. On the arena floor, Zirea threw a spear of light. It shattered against Void Glass's body like it had hit a mirror made of time. "Your weapons won't work," Eli said, reaching into his belt. "We're gonna have to outthink it." "Outthink a monster made from collapsed stars?" Zirea replied. "You ever hear of something called a distraction?" Eli pulled out a small cube, something he'd been hiding since the early rounds. Not a bomb, not a weapon, a recorder. He activated it, and suddenly the entire arena filled with one sound. Voices, screams from memory cores, names the council erased. The cries of warriors long gone, and among them, Zirea's own voice, from decades, ago before she became the champion. "We don't need more killing, we need meaning." The sound made Void Glass freeze, not physically, it didn't move like that, but its energy warped. It remembered those voices, it was made from them. "I think it's built from memory," Eli whispered. "Pain, data, grief. It's trying to erase others because that's all it knows." "Then, we overload it," Zirea said. "Feed it more than it can handle." "You still got those memory cores we uncovered?" Zirea nodded, reaching into her belt. She tossed him a shard glowing blue-white. "This one's from the first ever arena match," she said. "Warrior died to prove his planet's worth. Then they erased the planet." Eli stared at the shard. "Let's give him the ending he deserved." They slammed the memory core into the recorder. The arena flashed, and suddenly Void Glass heard more than it could process. Hundreds of voices, thousands, warriors, children, leaders, stories, lives, final breaths. It screamed. Not with sound, with gravity. The ground lifted. Arena walls twisted. Ships above started tilting, but it was working. Void Glass's shape flickered, blurred, began pulling in on itself, like a star collapsing in reverse. It's destabilizing, Soraya said. We have to finish this. How? We feed it one more thing it doesn't understand. What's that? Soraya looked at him. Mercy. She walked toward the breaking creature. Its body tried to form a blade, a claw, a barrier, but she didn't attack. She placed her hand on the black mirror that made up its face and whispered, "You don't have to be what they made you." The stars inside Void Glass flickered. Its body slowed. It spoke. One word. Broken. Layered. Free. Soraya nodded. Yes. Then everything collapsed. The arena exploded upward in light. Not destruction, but release. Void Glass didn't die. It unraveled, turned to particles, then into silence. The sky cleared. The arena floor cracked open, revealing not death, but the chamber beneath, glowing with history, with data, with names. A vault of truth. Far across the galaxy, broadcasts were still rolling. Planets that had feared the Council now saw the arena for what it truly was. Not glory, not honor, a machine of control. And they saw something else too. A human. And the monster he refused to kill. In the control tower, alarms screamed. "The signal's spreading to every core system," a technician cried. "Stop it. We can't. The data's out. Every system is syncing with the archive." The elder stood frozen. "It's over," he whispered. "Our story is no longer the only one." In the arena, Eli collapsed to his knees. Soraya helped him up. "You okay?" she asked. "Not even close," he laughed, spitting blood. "But hey, we won." "No," she said. "We changed the game." Ships began to descend. Rebels, old allies, watchers. A new crowd was forming, but they weren't chanting her name or his. They were silent, watching, waiting. "What now?" Eli asked. "We give them a choice," Soraya said. "Not a fight, not a crown, just truth." And high above, deep in a forgotten corner of the galaxy, a council member who had disappeared long ago watched the feed and smiled. "They did it," she said. "Finally." She turned to a fleet waiting in darkness. "Prepare the others. Earth isn't sleeping anymore." The choice, the smoke had cleared, but the world was still holding its breath. The arena lay in ruins. Half collapsed walls torn open to reveal the buried truth beneath. Memory cores glowed softly in the cracks of the floor. Pieces of history, evidence, voices that could no longer be silenced. High above, the once silent fleets hovered in place, warships from dozens of worlds, watching what remained. No one fired. No one moved. The entire galaxy was waiting, and in the center of it all stood Eli Voss. His armor was torn. His hands bled. His face was scarred with fire and ash, but he stood tall. Next to him, General Shiraya, no longer in full armor, no longer the perfect weapon. Just a woman, breathing, watching, free, and before them, the Council, forced out of their hidden tower for the first time in 100 years. 6 elders stood on a floating platform above the wreckage, no longer gods, no longer in control. They stared down at the 2 warriors who had broken their empire, one born of steel, the other born of dirt. "You've done the impossible," the eldest said. "You've exposed what was buried, opened what was locked." Eli didn't answer. Soraya stepped forward. "You trained me to kill, to obey, to forget, but you couldn't erase the one thing that matters." "And what's that?" asked another elder. "The will to choose." A ripple ran through the gathered fleets. Ships turned slightly. Formations broke. The people on those vessels were no longer waiting for orders from the council. They were listening to something new, something human. "You expect the galaxy to trust you?" the elder snapped. "You think your little rebellion changes anything?" Eli raised his head, his voice quiet but sharp. "We didn't come here to be trusted. We came here to tell the truth." He pulled a device from his belt, the memory core network, synced now with every system. He tossed it at their feet. "This contains every life you erased, every lie you told, every system you silenced, and it's already been transmitted to over 200 systems. It can't be deleted. You'll start a war," the elder hissed. "No," Eli said, "you already did. We're just turning on the lights." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, unexpectedly, one of the elders, the youngest of them, stepped forward and removed his hood. He dropped it to the ground. "I was born into the council," he said, "but I'm not proud of it. The arena was never about honor, it was about fear. And they knew, the moment a human stepped in, it would all collapse." He looked down at Eli. "You didn't win because you were stronger. You won because you refused to play by their rules." He turned to the crowd of watching ships and spoke into a comlink. "To all systems under council control. The last arena is dead. Do not send your children to fight in it. Do not bow to silence." The signal spread like wildfire. Rebellion, not with fire, but with truth. Ships began to descend. Some carried refugees who had survived, failed arena trials, and vanished. Others carried soldiers who refused their old orders. Some even carried humans, wanderers, explorers, people who had thought Earth was forgotten. Eli saw them, their eyes wide with disbelief as they stepped onto the broken ground. He looked to Zirea. "It's done." "No," she said softly. "It's starting." That night, fires burned for warmth, not war. Around them, survivors and warriors from across the galaxy gathered. Some cried, some laughed, some simply stared at the stars in silence. Finally, free to do so without permission. A child from a distant desert world climbed onto the broken podium and asked, "What happens now?" Eli didn't answer at first. He looked down at his hands, at the blood, the dirt, the weight. "We rebuild," he said finally. "Not another arena. Not another empire. Something else. Something better." "Who will lead it?" someone asked. He looked to Zirea. She looked to him, and then he walked away from the firelight, toward the old human ship buried near the edge of the arena, the one they found when they first escaped. He placed his hand on its hull. A voice inside asked for identification. "Eli, Voss," he said. "Status, undecided." The ship blinked green. "Ready." Zirea found him there a moment later. "You leaving?" she asked. "Thinking about it," he said. "Earth doesn't know what happened here. Maybe it's time they did. And if they ask you to fight again, then maybe I say no." She nodded. "You're still afraid," she said, "aren't you?" "Yes," she admitted. "But for the first time, I'm not afraid to feel afraid." He smiled. "What about you?" he asked. "What will you do?" She looked at the stars, not with the eyes of a warrior, but of someone seeing them for the first time. "I want to learn, to teach, to remember." He held out a memory shard. "Then take this. It's not a weapon. It's a beginning." The wind rose softly, carrying dust and ash across the ruins of the old arena. Above, ships peeled off in every direction, some returning home, some seeking new ones. And from somewhere beyond the edge of known space, new voices began to answer the call sent days ago. Eli looked up and chose. He stepped back from the ship, turned around, and walked toward the firelight where the others waited. He would not return home, because home was something he would help build, not as a fighter, but as a witness, and maybe, someday, a leader. And in the broken stone of the arena's last wall, someone had carved a new message in basic galactic script. No alien warrior could defeat her until a human stepped into the arena and changed the story forever. The end.